Absolutely.
Let's do the doors thing. Here we go.
We're going to do this. Beautiful. Perfectly timed. Why, instead of calling them all those numbers that everyone forgets, why couldn't they have called their cars after their world champions? You've got, you've got Prost, you've got Lauda, you've got Hunt, you've got Fittipaldi.
Yeah.
You've got all. Wouldn't it be great if you're driving a Fittipaldi McLaren?
I'd like to drive the 2022 Ricardo.
Yeah, or the 2022 Ricardo. Absolutely.
Woking, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, because I know you're glued to our review. Mark's just had another brilliant idea.
So today on Incarnation Australia, Stu and I have a McLaren 600LT for you. Our outcome today for you is to determine whether this is a track day car or whether this is a road car, and we're going to have a lot of fun finding out.
Hey, my God, it's got a glove box.
Yeah.
I thought it said they didn't have one. Look at that. I can fit my cap. I can.
No.
Oh, no, I can't. I can fit my sunnies in there. All right, that's it.
It's in good hands.
Are they good hands?
Yeah.
Am I in safe hands today?
Yeah.
Oh, why is it so loud?
Because it's a McLaren 600LT.
Has it got a quiet mode so we can actually hear ourselves think?
No, but still quieter than a Ferrari, I think, Stu.
Do you know, I hate to admit it, but in all these years, this is my very first seat in a McLaren.
There you go. So, models, Stu. There's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, look,
How many?
It does your head in. Whenever people say, oh, you're a car guy, you know what a McLaren is. What kind of McLaren's that? I go, it's an orange one. It's the 540, 570, 600, 620, 625, 650, 675, 720, 765. And they're all very confusing to me. They all look pretty much the same.
Yeah,
they're all following the same styling cues. So to simplify it, you could say, hey, if it's a McLaren, it's got a 3.8 to 4 litre V8, double overhead cam, variable valve timing, flat plane crank, I think they are, and with twin turbos. Correct. So they're all basically the same 3.8 litre motor, extended a little bit. They've all got a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. All the cars, they'll do 3 seconds 0 to 100, plus or minus a couple of tenths. This one's sub 3 seconds 0 to 100, 8.2 seconds 0 to 200 k's an hour. So they're all ridiculously fast. How was that? Did I get that all out okay?
I think you got it all away. It's basically the same engine in all the cars from the 570 to the Senna, and with different add-on bits to give it a bit more performance. And it's a really clever way that McLaren have gone about that, I think.
As you pointed out, the number corresponds to the engine power. So does that mean that every time they upgrade the engine a little bit, they've got to cover a new model?
Yep, that's right.
So we'll keep it simple. They've basically got 3 ranges. There's the Sport range, there's the Super range, and the Ultimate range. This is the top-end model in the Sport range of cars. So this is the 600 longtail, which is derived from the 570S. Did I get that right?
That's correct, yeah. And this is a direct competitor to Ferrari, isn't it, really, in many ways? And I think with a Ferrari, the heart of any Ferrari is the engine. That's why in a Ferrari, it's there under perspex or glass at the back. You can look at it, it's a work of art. The rockers are beautiful, everything's finished perfectly. The engine on the McLaren is not really the heart. I think the heart of the McLaren is the carbon fibre chassis. Yeah. That's what gives the car its rigidity, it gives its performance on the track day or on a race track. I've driven the McLaren on the track a lot. I've driven the 570 GT4 a lot on the track. I've driven the 488 Challenge Ferrari on the track, probably comparable cars in some ways. And I can tell you straight away the rigidity, the stiffness of the chassis is something you can feel straight away, and you can even actually feel it on the road. And it's really kind of cool when you look in the mirror there and you can actually see the heat haze coming off the exhaust. That's kind of a cool feature of the 600LT that the other McLarens don't have. I kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, this car's got harnesses and seat belts, which is a bit annoying when you accelerate and all the harnesses go flying around. Is this a lot firmer than the 570? Just the way you're driving it now?
It is, yeah. We're driving with that in...
the handling's in normal mode.
Drivetrain's in sport, and I'm using manual shift. Yeah. One of the things I do like about this McLaren, and it's a bit of an anomaly these days, hydraulic power steering just connects you just still a little bit better to the road. You can really feel the texture of the road. And it just from a driver's point of view is something I just personally like. The ratio of steering and sensation.
says these harnesses are track use only. I don't know why they wouldn't be safe enough to use on the road, because they're safe enough on a track.
Well, that's right.
Here he goes. Thank you. Thanks, mate. People look at it more out of surprise. I think they think it's some kind of reptile coming at them. Have you noticed it looks like a bit of a lizard or a fish or a gecko from the front, don't you think?
It's certainly, it's unique, isn't it? There's no doubt about that.
Very distinctive. A lot of people go, what the hell is that? Look, there's one question that keeps coming up with this car, is why the hell did they do it that way? And it comes up when you look at the bodywork, a lot of bits of carbon fibre trims and stuff that seem to be just adornments.
I think the answer is because they can, because it's actually some really clever engineering, and they've no doubt all that carbon fibre works wonderfully well in the wind tunnel and on a racetrack, Stu.
I reckon if I went round this car with a magnet, it wouldn't attach to anything, because it's either composite plastics, carbon fibre, or light alloy, or ceramics.
Yeah.
I reckon there's no steel in this car at all.
There's no steel in this at all.
This car's made entirely out of modern. But even this is a pretty good road, but this is still really harsh, isn't it? Mark's got his eyes on, looking for any little pothole or imperfection. So how would you say the ride is in this compared to a GT3 RS, for example?
I actually think it's a lot more harsh, but I think that's probably less to do with suspension, more to do with the chassis of the car, carbon fibre chassis, and I think that's transferring through on these slightly rougher roads.
Yep.
It's not the ideal environment for the McLaren, I'd have to say. All right.
We're in sport mode? Yeah, so we're just cruising along. I'm ready. So away we go. Waiting. No, it's...
There's a fair bit of lag in the engine there, and you know, I guess you expect that, but it is a lot of lag. There's no doubt about it. But it certainly comes on with a bang up the top.
That's the party trick with this car, isn't it? You get this almighty wallop.
If I go to track, let's see what that does.
And again, it's very low revs at the moment.
Well, look, and that's in auto mode. Both of those are in auto mode, and that pulled straight up to 6 gears. So really, it just goes to show when you're in track mode, you've got to be using your paddles to get the most out of it.
Okay. Can I go track on chassis as well?
Yep.
Okay. All right, up to you. So this time, do it your way. Third gear. Yep, that certainly got it moving.
So you can really feel the difference. You can hear the difference with the gear shifts. Really crisp downshift. You can hear that auto blip function, and the shifts are immaculate. And it just reinforces what an awesome track weapon this car is.
Now we're trying sport mode.
It's not quite as much, is it? And you can really feel that. It just doesn't push as hard. Right. So, sport mode.
Brakes are fantastic.
The brakes are a really strong part of any McLaren. These seatbelts are great, aren't they?
It's a nuisance, isn't it?
But what was really interesting is the difference between normal, sport and track modes. You can really feel that. It's a sensational difference in terms of the way the engine pulls, the way the gear shifts, the auto blip function.
We drove the SLS AMG the other week, and it had pretty much the same power. It had 630 horsepower. This one's around 600. 300, 400, 500. Yep. But that car, even though it had been stripped and lightened, it was still 1550 kilograms, if you remember.
Yeah.
This thing is 1247. So we've got a 300 kilogram advantage. That's like having two enormous giant Donald Trumps in the back seat that doesn't exist. That's a massive amount. Yeah. So no wonder it pulls.
You can really feel the difference in the weight compared to the SLS, and compared to some of the other cars we've driven recently. This is a lightweight car. It almost feels a little Lotus-like. I mean, we're only doing the speed limit here, but the aerodynamics you get on this car from the track, particularly from the diffuser, you're getting a lot of grip off the floor, you're getting a lot of grip off the rear wing. Yep. A lot of downforce.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cars, the faster you go, the happier it is.
Yeah.
So it's worth discussing the longtail derivation, 600LT. The original McLaren F1 had a longtail version, but that was 700mm longer. It was like 2 feet. and it looked like you could really see it.
Absolutely.
The point of the longtail is more downforce without incurring drag. Correct? You're the race driver. You should.
Yeah, definitely, and that's certainly what happened with the original F1 longtails. It's a similar ethos here, but how much longer is this longtail? Millimeters?
Millimeters, 73 millimeters.
So 73 millimeters gives you a longtail.
2.9 inches. So it's not very long.
Yeah, it does allow you a bigger diffuser at the rear. It allows you to move the rear wing a little bit further towards the rear, and it does certainly increase the downforce. But I don't know if it's really what you call a longtail.
No. Powertrain's in track mode. You happy there?
Yeah.
And the handling mode is sport, not track, but it's still pretty grippy. Whee! Yeah, mate, this is a race car. You can just tell there's absolutely no movement in the chassis at all.
Sits so flat.
I didn't go quiet because I was scared.
Why did you go quiet?
I was looking, I ran out of things to say. I was just enjoying it. Second gear.
1500 revs.
1500 revs, and away we go.
So that certainly gets up there quickly, doesn't it? And
it stops even better than it goes.
Yeah, the transmission's great. Paddle shift's fantastic. It's a race car.
328 k's an hour, which is over 200 k's an hour faster than our national speed limit here.
Yes.
So we're not going to find it today.
Yeah, it's not going to happen today.
No. On the racetrack, there are a couple of tracks in Australia you could hit around 280. Maybe at Bathurst you might hit 300 in this car. You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think you'd get up close to it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Honestly, I really don't know where you could take it. You'd really have to plan every journey, wouldn't you? And think about exactly where you're going to go, where you're going to park it.
I'll tell you what, it's a wonderful driver's car, isn't it, Stu? It's so tactile.
I don't know, I'm not driving it. How would I know?
But you can feel it. You can feel it from the passenger side.
Yeah, I can.
You can feel everything that's going on. I mean, you can feel every little millimetre of steering input. It just results in a movement in the car. It's so positive on the steering.
Yeah, I get it.
There's no dead spot at all with that. Just absolutely superb. Third gear.
Third, and boom. And yeah, $5,000 comes alive. Yeah, it's a turbo car. Yeah, it's strong. I like that display. That's quite race drivery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. That's a really interesting display when you get into track mode. Brings up all the shift lights really nicely. Let's go for apps, and let's go for McLaren track telemetry. Let's see what we can do.
Start a track day, view my laps, manage my laps, manage drivers, driver data.
So we come to the conclusion whether this is a track day car or a road car, Stu, already. I think that's helping us.
It's fairly evident to me. What do you think?
Definitely, it's a track day car, and it would be an awesome track day car. You could really lean on this car and get an amazing level of cornering out of it, there's no doubt about it.
For me, I'm finding it fairly uncomfortable. Already these seats, they're not padded enough for me.
You know, the ride's very harsh, and we're in sport mode there. If we go to comfort mode, it tidies it up a little bit, but not a lot. The car's not really built for these kinds of roads. Yeah, it just doesn't have the engine note, and it's a little drony down low.
Yeah.
It's not that pleasant. I tell you what, when you're using some revs, the note changes, doesn't it? The note's superb.
Track mode, there's the track display.
You want to see a green shift light?
Yeah. Oh,
We got some red there.
yeah.
And I have to say, a really strong point from McLaren is the brakes. You know, I've been driving a lot recently the 570 GT4 race car, back to back with the 488 Challenge race car at Roden Cars in New Zealand, where we do a lot of testing. And the McLaren GT4 is our main training car there, and so I know the car really well, and the brakes on the McLaren are so much better. They are superb, really, really are.
The limiting factor is going to be the tyres. I mean, even though it's got R-spec, the brakes are going to be better than the tyres on this.
That's always the limiting factor with a car like this, and really it needs to be on a racetrack, it needs to be on slicks, and then you can really see what the brakes will do. The pedals themselves are excellent.
Okay.
They work really effectively. I love the feel of them. So let's just go back into sport mode. We're on track there. It's just a little bit too rough.
Okay, sport. I don't know why it needs two controls. Why can't you just do the regular thing? You just have
one.
Normal sport plus and race.
I think McLaren have made these cars really tunable, and I think that's good, but you need to educate yourself as to what all these features do. It's a car that you actually need to read the manual.
I actually feel like I'm in a tarmac rally right now. This is actually firmer sprung than the tarmac rally cars I go in.
Yeah.
Who would buy this car?
Someone who doesn't want to turn up in a Porsche or Ferrari. Yeah, I think people who would buy this car are someone who just want something different. McLaren have catered to a niche there. The drivers who really love very well-tuned, almost race cars for the road, and something that looks different, something that feels different. And they've really hit the nail on the head with that. You can see the difference, a massive difference there, isn't it? So it's a really tunable car, and I kind of like that as a racing driver. Track. 3,000 revs.
Yeah, that's a pure race car.
Well, that's race car, isn't it, compared to what we just saw in comfort mode there a minute ago?
Yep.
It feels like a light car to me, and that's part of the enjoyment of driving it. It's just so responsive in every respect, and you know, like that's something when you get up with, some of the Ferraris, for instance, as much as the performance is amazing, they start to get a little heavy. The Lamborghini's a little heavy. Will do. You can hear my voice is not stuttering over the bumps. When my voice is steady, you know we've got some nice smooth road.
You know, you're always going to have some guy pull up beside you in an SS Commodore and go, "Get a V8, mate," and you go, "It is a V8."
Yeah, it is a V8. I like the way. I love the engineering. I love the ethos behind the car.
So, Synopsis. I'll give you mine first.
Yep.
I do like the little guy with his helmet on the air conditioning. That's cute. But practicality wise, I actually don't. I thought I'd really like the seat and it'd be really snug, but I'm too skinny for it.
Yeah, right.
They do come in two sizes, and this is for the wider person. My third hand is grabbing the seat, trying to keep me with the grip that this thing generates. Yeah. So not so comfortable. In every other aspect, great. Vision's great. Nowhere to put stuff.
Yeah, look, not a lot of practicality, but I do like the fact that the vision is good. You can see a lot. You can only see the front corners of the car. Dimensions of the car are really nice. Yeah, pretty low score practicality-wise. Performance is a big thing, and we set out to determine is this a road car or a track day car or a track car. It's a track car, there's no doubt about it. The performance is amazing. I think you have to say that. The engine is sensational. It's not as evocative as some other engines that are out there on the market. The chassis of the car is the heart of this car, as we've already discussed. From a driver's point of view, a race driver's point of view, when I get into this car, I can really tune into it. I love the fact it's very tunable with a lot of the settings here. And for me, performance is right up there. It's got to be about a 4.7 on performance, I think.
Okay. On this road?
Not great on this road. You need a nice smooth road. You need to be able to find a corner that's smooth that you can commit to, and then you can really see what this car can do. Okay. If you're a little bit off the throttle, if you're a little bit hesitant because you don't know what's happening with the corner or the road is a little rough, it's not that great.
Okay. Even a GT3 RS is still going to give you a more supple ride on that road than we had today.
It will do, yeah. And that's just down to the chassis.
So this is hardcore, this car?
It's a hardcore car.
Yeah. Presentation, the wow factor. I'm rating it pretty high here.
What?
Oh, just the way people have seen it today, the way they've reacted.
So what are you going to come up with?
I know it's by McLaren, but it's the best I can do. It's a good one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think, what is that? And I think that's where McLaren are a little bit like that. They're a little bit under the radar, aren't they? I'd say 4, yeah. I'd say 4 for sure. I think it's got a wow factor, but it's got a question mark factor as well, hasn't it? But that's kind of cool.
Personality, it's got a wild side, but it doesn't really have a soft side. It doesn't have a let's just cruise along type mode. Even in normal, there is no normal, but even in comfort, it's not very comfortable.
It's not particularly comfortable. I can see why they changed they changed the name to Comfort. Why did they do that? It's not that comfortable.
Because the McLaren engineers said there's no such thing as normal.
It's not normal, and it's not that comfortable.
They renamed it for the...
It's a track day car.
Price, we haven't done price. It's expensive.
All these cars are expensive.
Yeah, I know, but it's really in the unattainable category, so we have to give it a low score on price.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
2?
2. I was going to say 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our score. Here it is on the side of the screen. Hope you enjoyed our review of that McLaren 600 Engage radio voice now. Longtail that we're in today. Thanks for watching Incarnation, your channel on the worldwide interweb thingy.
Whatever that is. Thank you very much to the very generous owner for letting us use this wonderful McLaren here today. It's an amazing thing to drive, and we've had a great day. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll look forward to catching up soon.
Bye.
Manual seat, that's all you got, back and forwards, nothing else. And that certainly makes it a lot easier getting out.
Yeah, I mean, that is cool. So even if you arrive and you're not so elegant getting in and out, to this point, just by opening the doors, you're still looking
It's cool. Your dihedral doors.
Yeah, so maybe you don't actually get out. You just open the doors and let people admire you, and then close them and drive off.
If you've got a car like this, you don't want to get out, you want to stay in and drive it.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the video. We've got a heap of really interesting cars coming up straight away, so please subscribe to the channel so we can keep producing content. We want to bring videos like this one out every week. See you soon.